Hello, listeners. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whenever you are listening to this. I want to welcome my listeners, my adventurers, my go getters, my travelers. This is the Welcome Travelers podcast, a podcast pretty much about traveling, getting out of the house, seeing new things. It could be stuff locally or stuff across states, across town, across the country, across the world. I'm going to talk about all different types of things on this podcast. So if you like that, look, adventuring, I'll share my tips and my experiences at certain places and try to encourage new travelers or new people to travel, to get out of the house, to explore new things, encourage them. We'll talk about some mental health stuff, how to get past those anxieties of traveling. We'll also have some guests on that deals with a lot of photography, video stuff, or anything travel related pretty much. It involves with pictures, videos, art. Food is a good topic too. It could be stuff like a challenge. We have a few fun outdoor challenges here in Washington. But yeah, it's a podcast. If you're interested in that stuff, give us a like. You can follow us on Spotify on the audio side of things, or you can subscribe and watch us on YouTube. Helps the channel. The YouTube offers more of me. You can see my face. You can also see the videos and pictures I will feature that I've done works in the past or currently. Right now we're doing a 3-part series of our Vancouver trip in first part of May, and this will be our part 2. But yeah, like I said, follow us on Spotify, Apple, Facebook, Instagram. You can see us on the bottom of the screen on the YouTube, which is Blue Ties Pictures. Really helps the channel, helps us out. But yeah, and things that's been going on here. I guess this podcast will be about the part 2 of Vancouver. Pretty excited for that. We'll talk about our adventure at a suspension bridge, which that was fun, and then we got to experience some food, some dinner at a test kitchen. So excited about that. And about my week. My week has been fun. We've kind of hit our first summer weather here in Washington. It's like not high. It got to the 80 degrees is the highest, but to here it's pretty hot. And they feel it. Local people feel it, the heat here. I know there's a lot of people swimming in 80-degree weather. I came from the Midwest, and I don't think we swam till it was like 90s, 100s, because it was still pretty cool. So I'm used to like 90-degree heat. Went back to Missouri last June, and it was like the highest it got was like almost 120 heat index. So I've experienced heat, and Washington hasn't, at least a part of Washington that I live, which is the corner of the country, south of Vancouver, north of Seattle. And it doesn't get really too hot. It doesn't really get too cold actually too, so it's pretty nice. But I would say too, like I think like only 20% of the houses here in Washington has AC. So, and the houses are built to retain heat because typically it gets colder. So it does warm up the house a lot, so you do get used to it. But if you walk outside, it's beautiful. It's weird too because it's like 80-degree weather, or even like high 70s. People are indoors trying to stay cool, and I'm outside doing yard work and pulling weeds and mowing the grass, and I think it's a beautiful time. So that's kind of been my week. This episode will be actually released on Memorial Weekend, so that's exciting. Memorial Weekend, if you're listening to this overseas, is a U.S. holiday to kind of celebrate fallen soldiers. It's also a good time. I know a lot of people do this to go to cemeteries to remember or give flowers to fallen family members, even if it's not in part of the military. But also it's kind of like I always find it as the official weekend, like summer starts Memorial Weekend versus June 20th, 21st. But Memorial Weekend happens, that's summer happens, the weather's hot, warm, lake time, beach time, whatever time you want to be at, margarita time. But yeah, Memorial Weekend, we're pretty excited. We get to smoke some meat, which I'm loving that, to get to show off my meat, my smoking meat skills. And also, I'm going to try to, I think either this weekend or next weekend, I'm going to Mount Baker's Artist Point. So the whole, it's still pretty snowed in, but the last mile of it, but you can still go up to the kind of like the ski lodge. I think I'm going to do a sunrise picture, a photo session, probably very small. And I think I'm going to document it on my phone, kind of give you like a tidbit of like what a lot of photographers like to do. Landscape, nature, even people who do portrait stuff to kind of do the same similar stuff where they wake up early, travel a lot. Kind of sees like what the behind the scenes of what it takes to be kind of a photographer. And this kind of like, and this process probably you can relate to any type of photography too. So I'll probably do that, and hopefully it'll be a nice clear day up there. So I'm waiting for the good weather time, and hopefully either this Monday or maybe this weekend, Monday, or maybe next Friday, depending on the weather is, or what it looks like. But yeah, I'm pretty excited for that. I think I'm going to drop the traveler's tips section of the podcast. I think I'm going to wait to like maybe have a Q&A or have some audience participation if they ask a question. I'm kind of more curious of what they think, and I can get more research, because right now I'm just kind of like spitballing and trying to figure out what's good to tell. So, but we're going to go into our first segment of the episode, which is the segment. I really like this. I like this because I get to explore, research more new things, stuff that I'm kind of like curious about, maybe for future travels, and just kind of get to know more cultures, more interesting things about people, really. And just and our big segment of the segment for is slurping in Japan. Now in the U.S. or maybe a lot of Western cultures, like when you eat at the dinner table, you like elbows off, napkin, face, no food on the face, be very quiet. And I think like the big thing, I think I've been watching a lot of like Gordon Ramsay's a bunch of other cooking shows, that I know like empty plate is kind of a big thing. Like if you empty your plate, means it's a good sign, like, oh, you like your food. But so I've been researching about Japan. I've heard about this too before, and I think maybe a lot of people have too, but I kind of want to do more research of it because it's such an interesting thing. So slurping in Japan refers to the act of making a loud and audible sound while eating noodles or soup. It's considered a common practice and is often seen as a sign of appreciation for the food, while slurping may be considered impolite in some cultures, like here in the U.S. It is widely accepted and even encouraged in Japan. So they get to slurp this, and it's kind of like a sign of respect. Like, I enjoy my food. You get to hear it more of an audible, more, more. I always imagine like if an analogy would be like if you're performing a live show or a live play or anything live, and there's audience, and your audience is just people at the table eating your food that you cooked, and you get to hear the noises they make, and you kind of get more receptive of like if they like it or not, versus like people being quiet and might chit chat here and there. But I think it's kind of a good way to indicate like, hey, this is good stuff. I do like that. It's kind of fun too. I mean, slippery noodles. But the tradition of slippery noodles dates back centuries in Japanese culinary culture. The primary reason for slurping is to enhance the flavor and enjoyment of the food. By slurping, one can aerate the noodles and soup, allowing the flavors to mix with the air and reach the taste receptors more effectively. The act of slurping is believed to intensify the umami flavors of the dish. And I know like the nose part. Like I worked at a winery, and I talked to a few people who've gone to a bunch of wineries and stuff like that. And a couple of people told me, I'm not for sure if this is facts or not, but if you smell something like a glass of wine or a whiskey or something like that, you smell it, like you inhale through your nose, and then you exhale through your mouth. And apparently that really opens up the receptors of your taste buds and your nose sensors, and especially makes it more aromatic for your flavors when you drink it, or food wise. I think it should work as food as well. So the noodles, like slurping it, you kind of open up forcing the fast noodles quickly going in your mouth really rushes the smell through your nose and really opens up the flavor more for that. So that's interesting. And it kind of makes sense too from my experience, and I guess what this my little notes are saying too. Furthermore, slurping serves practical purposes as well. Noodles in Japanese cuisine, such as ramen, soba, and udon, are often served hot and can be lengthy. Slurping helps cool down the noodles as they enter the mouth and preventing burns and allowing for faster consumption, which I did not know that. That's interesting. I have a bit of a baby mouth, as my girlfriend would say. It also allows a diner to eat noodles quickly, ensuring they are consumed while they are still at their optimal texture. That's interesting. Two things are interesting about that is the slurping of the noodles quickly in your mouth actually cools it down. And I'm always in practice, like I had to blow it on it more, or like blow it, or like had to really mix to get the heat out of it, because if I can't eat something that's too hot. But the slurping part of it, like you slurp in your mouth to cool it down, I guess is the speed and like the rush of the steam and the hotness out of the noodles quickly. I haven't tried that because I'm too scared. Maybe I will try it sometime and report back. And the optimal texture of the noodles. So like, I guess if you have your noodles wait too long into the bowl, it'll be not as good. Maybe, do they have it al dente? I'm curious now because I love ramen and I love Japanese cuisine. I wonder if they have like an al dente terminology for noodles there. It has like a great texture, and I know like with pasta, like if it's in the water too long, the pasta kind of like get really girthy, very like bloated, or very, what's the word I'm thinking, like too soft and too big almost. And I know like noodles in Japan, they're mostly egg or rice based, and which is good because I have a bit of a gluten problem, so I can eat those noodles, but the noodles with pasta is kind of an issue for me, especially if it's like full-fledged gluten wheat. And in addition, for its functional benefits, slurping is also considered a way to express appreciation to the chef. It is a gesture of respect and enjoyment of the meal. In Japanese culture, expressing pleasure and satisfaction audibly, noises, while eating is considered a sign of gratitude towards the cook. By slurping, diners are essentially saying, "This dish is so delicious that I can't help but make noises while eating it." And that makes more sense. I guess if I was a chef or a cook, like you kind of want more of a reaction to it. Like how boring, like imagine doing a live show. I'm going back to this analogy. Imagine doing a live show and or showing someone something, and your audience, your person you're talking to, whoever, doesn't say nothing. Like it's like very emotionless, and they're like maybe nod their head and this like that, and nod their head or make little small gestures, maybe a little whisper to your person next to you. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, you should try this. Blah, blah, blah. And so you're this live, you're performing in front of these people. They're doing very minimal reactions to it. And how fun would it be? Would it be if like people can actually like express of what they're eating, good or bad, enjoyment. Like if it's good, just like, oh, this is so good, or like or slurp it, like whatever gesture and like or whatever reaction you have in your mouth, you should be able to express that. And not be judged or be scolded because it's rude. Because it's, I mean, in anything else in life, you don't really, if you have enjoyment, or if you have say if you have a partner or a relationship with someone, you react emotionally, right? Or you express yourself, your body language, if you enjoy it or not. In sports, you do that. And food is like the one thing in the U.S. for a lot of cultures are just fine dining polite stuff that's like, and maybe it's a European culture too, that you don't express. You just kind of like eat your food, you eat all of it. You might suggest it to a friend. I think food sharing is a good way to really shows a sign of appreciation. Like, hey, this is good. You should try it. So I think that's kind of a good gesture to show like what your appreciation with, or your plate's empty. But if you're not so empty plate is a good gesture, sir. Like, oh, empty plate, he enjoyed it. That's awesome. But if you're a person that doesn't eat a lot, like sometimes the restaurants give you too much food, or too much, or you're just full, or you just had too much before and you can't eat all of it, then there should be another way to express your gratitude, right? Because like you're paying for the food, so like the cooks, I mean, I guess some cooks do get tips, but the tips goes to the waiters, servers mostly. So, and the food's already paid for, so they can't really show you that. I guess like reviews is the next best thing you could do to show appreciation, but that's like after the fact. It's kind of a nameless face giving you a review versus like here and now to see what your worth is as a chef, as a food. I mean, I think it'd be fun, but that's my thoughts. But it's worth noting that while slurping is generally accepted and even encouraged in casual dining establishments, it may be considered impolite in more formal settings. Ooh, that's interesting. Such as high-end restaurants or when dining with strict etiquette guidelines. In those situations, it is advisable to observe and follow the behavior of those around you. Now that's, okay, after I said that, that's interesting. I wonder, like, it's always been that way for high-end, like, in the Japanese culture, high-end restaurants or stuff, it's like you do become more polite and more, I guess, less noisy. Or it's been like adopted from a European culture standpoint. And they kind of use that as like, oh, this is polite. I wonder which came first, right? Because I know like Japanese is very respectful, very family oriented, very like, they like to keep things quiet and stuff like that. Not quiet, but like very like in their own circle enjoyment. But yeah, I would say like, I guess like if you're in a place, just read the room and follow the lines of it. I mean, that's sad that you can't really express yourself, especially like in because some high-end foods are delicious and you just want to be enjoy your food or express the way you enjoy your food. But in conclusion, slurping is an integral slurping is a huge part of Japanese dining culture, particularly when it comes to enjoying noodles and soup. It is seen as a way to enhance the flavors, cool down your hot dish, which is a fun fact I'm glad I knew, and show appreciation to the chef. So if you find yourself in Japan, don't hesitate to embrace the slurping tradition and savor your noodles with gusto. And also, I would say, enjoy it whenever you want to. In Japan, in the US, in Canada, anywhere in the world, if you have a couple noodles, enjoy it, slurp it. Most times you're around people that you know and they might say something to you and you just had to deal with it, or you're around strangers and you don't need to see them again if you don't want to. But so I was thinking, like, what other enjoyment would I get from other foods? So if noodles and soup is kind of like a big slurping stuff, I guess like my top favorite ones would probably be like pizza. You know, just take a bite and it's like, get the flavor, because pizza is a fun thing that has like a variety of flavors with it. And each pizza joint is a little different. I would say like, because like we always make this joke that, especially in the U.S., like every town, any small town in the U.S., there's either a burger joint, a pizza joint, and I think a Mexican restaurant. Almost every single town. And I think a burger or pizza would be good ones because, again, each town, each burger, each pizza is a little different. And pizza is great is because different toppings, different crusts. Burgers is kind of like, I mean, you would think it would look all the same because like patty, buns, maybe a little tomato, onions, cheese, but it does taste a little differently in different places. Sushi would be a good one. I think would be like a good one to pop because it's almost like a bite-sized thing that you buy it and it's full of flavor. So that's a good way to show expression, to animate your eating. And I think my last one would probably be, what would be another good one? It'd be probably like, I guess like a barbecue or some like meat. Be a good one. Barbecue has a bit of a variety of stuff you can try: pork, beef, sausage. And growing up in a KC area where barbecue is the king and the best, there's definitely a nice variety of stuff too. But what's your top three things of foods that you wish you can animate, express yourself any way you want, good or bad? What's some good things that you can wish you could like really appreciate can really give a good audience live show, clap expression of how good the food is? Or I'd like to know if you lived in a family that was encouraged to slurp. And I'm also curious if any Japanese families, people, or even immigrants from Japan, if they had to tone down the slurping at all, it was kind of frowned upon, or it was more encouraged. Or I'm kind of curious about those stories as well, as something like mashes the cultures together. So this next part of the episode, we'll talk about where I've been, or I guess trip of the day. And this will be a part 2 of the Vancouver, part 2, actually day 2 of our trip. We went to the Capilano Suspension Bridge Park. It is kind of located north of Vancouver, British Columbia. It's about like a 15-20 minute drive from downtown Vancouver. Good reviews, looked interesting, very picturesque place. So it was definitely a place, it was kind of like my pick of choice of what we want to see. My girlfriend picked the aquarium and the park on our first day. So we did the research. It cost about 66 Canadian dollars per person. And that's a one-day ticket. You can stay there as long as you want. But it's like for US, for the conversion, it was about $46 per person. So it's a fun experience, and I'll share you my pros and cons with it. So if you stay there, you can the parking there is kind of limited, and we went on a Wednesday morning, got there early. You want to get there early because it does get crowded over time. They do have parking, but it is limited. I doubt it can hold as much people if it's on a typical busy weekend day. But if you get there early, you should find a parking spot. But the cool thing about this is they offer shuttle buses. You can get picked up from downtown Vancouver. So if you're staying in Vancouver, you're staying close to downtown area, or if you're staying at, say, Granville Island or something like that, you can walk to some of the shuttle buses. The town is not that big to walk in. Everything's pretty good and close. A lot of trails. But there's just 3 spots that you get picked up. There's one by the cruise. So if it's a cruise ship is in town, you will deal with the cruise ship people, tourist people. So there's a bus stop there, and there's 2 bus stops in a downtown Vancouver. Now, if you do this, I would recommend to know where you're getting picked up and where you're going to get dropped off, because some people don't understand how shuttle buses work. Is they pick you up and first spot, second spot, third spot, and then go to the destination, right? So you need to know where my spot's at, where the map is, because people can't read now these days, or you can't read a map. First stop, second stop, third stop, destination. And when they come back, usually what happens is the third stop, the last stop they pick people up is actually the first stop, second, the first stop, and the last stop they drop off people was actually the first stop, and people can't get the concept of that. Or they want people to drop off, and they won't drop you off at a specific location. Like, hey, can you drop off here? No. There's spots, there's a pickup spot and a drop-off spot, okay? You have to wait and walk. And it's fine. It's not that far. It's nice, too. Vancouver doesn't get hot. It'd be a nice time. So the Capilano Suspension Bridge is a popular tourist attraction located in North Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. It is known surroundings, and here's some information about the park. You get to the park there, you drop us off, and the shuttle buses are free, so you don't pay a thing. And lots of people outside the gates to herd you to where you need to go. There's a lot of signs, so it's very easy. We got there early, got there about 10 p.m. on a, not 10 p.m., 10 a.m. on a Wednesday morning. And it was only about like, our bus wasn't full at all. It was about like maybe 10 people. And there had 2 people working. We got in there probably like 10 minutes. Well, some people are just like, I don't know, they're just not prepared. This kind of grinds my gears a little bit, where people are just not prepared. Like they don't have their money with them or stuff with them, and they have these questions, and it's just, I hate it. But you got your tickets. You have your tickets. You can go in there faster. You can get them online, or you can purchase tickets there and pay it, go in. There's actually like a nice breakfast waffle place. It was hidden. It's kind of like you walk through it, you miss it because it's kind of like in a weird back corner. And then and you also get distracted by the totem poles and the views of the park too. So if you like coffee, you like some breakfast, that's a good place to check it out. We didn't go there. We would have if we knew that ahead of time. So, but the biggest, you get there and you kind of see usually kind of nice diagram histories of it, of what it was like there, the conservation there, of what they're trying to protect, and lots of good places to take pictures. But the big thing is the suspension bridge. The park's main highlight is the Capilano Suspension Bridge, which stretches 137 meters, 450 feet across the Capilano River, and it is suspended approximately 70 meters, 230 feet from the riverbed. Crossing the bridge provides the visitors with a thrilling and picturesque experience as they walk amongst the treetops and enjoy the panoramic views of the surrounding forest. Now, the suspension bridge was interesting. So, fun fact about me, I am scared of heights. And the biggest reason why I'm scared of heights is I get vertigo. I can stand on a stool, about a 3-foot stool, 3 or 4 feet stool, and I'll get vertigo, which is not nice. And vertigo for me is I get a little dizzy, and I'm get a little wobbly, and it kind of sometimes leads to motion sickness, which is not great. And it's great because I am the one who nominated to do this as our trip. So the suspension bridge is nice and it's fun. And there is a bit of a line there, and it gets packed and congested. It's not very wide at all. It's like if 2 people are going the opposite directions of the bridge, small person maybe can brush shoulders with, but you kind of got to do the dance shuffle with it a little bit. And there's groups, and then people will be taking pictures. So like you have to wait. People are doing selfies. And yeah, but it's nice. It is. So once you get on there, if you're with a lot of people, it will move. It will feel wobbly. It will sway back and forth pretty good. Especially in it seems like the beginning parts of it too, it gets more sway. I'm not for sure it's because of the more people on it. So if you get motion sickness or if you get a bit of vertigo like I do, take some pills ahead of time because it'll help, because it took me a good half an hour to get resettled. But you go across this bridge, very nice. River is pretty low at the time we went there, but it's really pretty. Kind of gives you a good Pacific Northwest feel. So if you're on the cruise ship from Vancouver, or if it's your first time in the Pacific Northwest, this kind of gives you the Pacific Northwest feel of it. The park is kind of like is a temperate rainforest. So it rains a lot. So bring rain gear. Make sure to check the weather. And if you're not unsure of if you're unfamiliar with Vancouver or the Pacific Northwest where it rains a lot, have a rain jacket just in case, because it can change. here for us, like our summer month, we have a summer month, which is August, where it doesn't rain a lot, but the others, it depends. So in Vancouver is only 30 minutes from where I live, so it's probably the same, I'm assuming. So you get there, you cross it, and then it's kind of confusing, but not really. So the path kind of like diverts in 4 locations, but if you follow the signs, you can able to see everything at once, or not everything at once, but everything that you want to see. Because I just take it all in and be really efficient of how I walk. And one more thing about the bridge too, if you have a phone or camera, make sure you have that pretty gripped, because you can easily get knocked over or be clumsy and drop your phone. And if it's dropped, it's gone. Like I said, what was it, like 70 meters up? So it's broken, smashed. Guess if you have a camera, you can try to recover the SIM card. But again, temperate forest, good place to check out, especially if you want to kind of go that Pacific Northwest feel for it. So you cross over, like I said, you kind of go through the paths, and this kind of offers you the treetop walks. So they kind of set up it's kind of like a Return of the Jedi Ewok experience a little bit. They have the little tree houses built on top. You can climb up there or walk up there. I think it was ramp style, or was it? I can't remember, stairs or ramps to get up there. But you get up there, and this is where it was busy for us. So like the bridges are not that, to get across the bridge from one tree top to the next is a one person, one way. So like you're stuck with the crowd, or the speed of the crowd pretty much. Try not to take pictures there, because you can just slow everyone down. There's actually, like, when you can say treetop, it's more of a circular, as you can see the pictures on YouTube, but on Spotify it's more circular, so you can go around it. You can actually get to the side and take some pictures, because generally people seem to be like, I don't know, either to take pictures on the bridge or the walkway, or they're just trying to move on because they're impatient. So if you move to the side for a bit, take some pictures. We never had an issue, and we just get back into the line of people. Mostly everyone's nice. Everyone's kind of in the same, I guess, touristy boat of taking pictures and waiting on people and stuff like that. So no issues with that. The treetops is additional to the suspension bridge. The park offers a series of elevated walkways called the Treetops Adventure. Visitors can navigate through the lush coastal rainforest of a network of suspended walkways and platforms, providing a unique perspective of the forest and ecosystem. It has diverse flora and fauna. I would say the flora and fauna is pretty diverse. If you live in Washington, you probably see a lot of similar things. But if you're not, you get to see a nice variety of stuff. A lot of mushrooms on trees, mosses everywhere. Some fungi. It's a really unique experience. So I can say, like, if you in Vancouver, if you kind of, I need the Pacific Northwest experience and kind of have that adventure feel of going out to the woods, this is a good place for it. It's safe too. You don't worry about animals. Well, mostly. There's a story a lady told us about it, but the treetop one was fun. You kind of go over like some of the paths, you walk underneath it, so you kind of see it. It's kind of nice to have this perspective, but you kind of see the same things just on more on top. It was sunny that day, and I got some good pictures, but not a lot. I haven't checked the video out. I will when I post this. But there's some good picturesque stuff. I think if you get a good, like, moody, like if it's a little cloudy, a little rainy, some too, get like a little moist mistiness to it. I think you get some great atmospheric pictures in the area. And it's open too, because it rain. And my favorite part was actually, which is ironic because of the suspension bridge. So when you go back to the suspension bridge, back to the main area, they offer another trail. It's called the Cliff Walk Trail. And I actually kind of like this better. Kind of walk on the cliff of the forest. And not the forest, but kind of like on the river bank a little bit. And you kind of go over like some of the paths that you walk underneath it. So you kind of see it. It's kind of nice to have this perspective. But if But you definitely have like more of a height. Like you can see like, oh, it's fall down, but it doesn't wobble. It's pretty safe. And there's some spots you can walk. There's like some picture taking spots that they kind of made, so you can step out to the side and take pictures. So did that, and that's actually my favorite part of it, because you get more of the rivers. You actually can see a nice little waterfall by the cliff walk. And the picture situation too was interesting because like a lot of people would just take pictures, and there's one view of it that you kind of sticks out, and this is on the kind of close to the tree walk areas that kind of sticks out, and it kind of gives you a good overlook of the river. And so it's a good place that people can stand and take pictures of. But it's always funny too because like I always find it funny because like the way it's set up, you can get a nice view of the river to take pictures of or to selfie of. But people are taking pictures of it, but the only backgrounds you can see is the trees because they're not from the angle they're getting their pictures with their family, cousins, daughters, brothers, sons, stuff like that. Everyone is getting their pictures. And I'm like, but why would you do that here? Because you could do this any part of the walkway because all you see is trees. You don't see the beautiful river and down below, and everyone's doing the same thing. I'm like, you're just wasting your time and everyone else's. And it just looks kind of, I don't know. I mean, it makes sense if you get more of a view to get the river in the background, but you're about, like I said, 70 meters tall. So all they're getting is just trees from across the way. And it just looks trees. So I just went there just so I can get a good picture of the river. If you're a photographer or videographer, there is a lot of trees in the way to get like you get some good pictures of the Suspension Bridge from a distance, but get the river during the treetop ways and those paths there. I couldn't find a really good spot for it, but on the cliff walkway, there's some great spots that you can get some river pictures. Like I said, there's like a little tiny waterfall. And you can also get the good suspension bridge of it too. It's kind of a neat thing to add. And the place closes around 8 o'clock, I think. And I think if you get some good early morning or dusk afternoon pictures, it'd be a really pretty location to pick. We like to get there early just because avoid the crowd and I don't know. I just like to have less crowd if I'm doing pictures. So the rainforest ecology, the Capilano Suspension Bridge, is situated within a temperate rainforest. So you can go there and say, I've been to a rainforest, if that's a bucket list item for you. It provides visitors with the opportunity to learn about the region's unique ecosystem. Interpretive signage and guided tours offer insights into the flora, fauna, and the ecological significance of the area. So I'd say there is some tours there. There's some great areas. And there's other outside tours that come in to do a tour of the place and give you some stuff. Or you can walk your own. I can do my own things. There's a lot of signs. They also have some park rangers there for some fun things to talk about. One person talked about a bear, apparently a black bear. Kept visiting them for a week or so because I think the food or something that kept coming back to. The history and culture of the park has a rich history that dates back to 1889, where the original suspension bridge was built. Over the years, the park has undergone expansions and enhancements and continues to be privately owned and operated. Well, I wonder who owns it. It showcases indigenous culture through totem poles displays, which they do, interactive exhibits, they do have that, and cultural performance gardens, trails. The bridge offers beautiful landscapes, gardens. I only saw like a couple of good gardens there. There's some nice ones. There's one kind of like the rocks, and there's like a little tiny waterfall, and there's a nice little pond area. It's a good place to do pictures or with your significant other or family, wherever. The park has several trails that wind through the forest, allowing visitors to explore and appreciate the natural beauty of the area. And going through all the trails, it took us it probably could take you about 2.5, 3 hours, probably more if there's more people. There's a lot. There's places to stop by and enjoy it. And Like I would say like stop and enjoy things. Like there's some unique areas and they have some fun displays and just take a moment, take a beat, enjoy it. If you want to take a picture, take a video of it, that's fine, but have a moment for yourself to remember these things. The amenities and facilities of the park offers various cafes, restaurants, gift shops, and there's also a picnic area where visitors can relax and enjoy a meal amongst the surroundings. So I didn't see the picnic area, did not. So the restaurant's kind of tricky because it's right behind the gift shop, and there's not really much signs of it. You only know about it if you go the other way, coming up from behind it, and you see the restaurant. And they do have servers, but we went to the kind of like an outdoor. They do like basic burgers, chicken tenders, hot dogs, and order your food, go up there, and you sit down. It has some nice outdoor sitting areas. You get the food. We got our food pretty fast. I got the chicken tenders, which was delicious. It was actually much better than I expected. I would say A plus. I would say B plus, A plus, kind of like outdoor venue chicken tenders. It's not. I don't want to say like the restaurant style chicken tenders, but like for like quick outdoor, like if you're at a, I don't know, like amusement park or like an outdoor vendor that serves it in a touristy area, it's pretty good. Sometimes I've had some pretty basic foods there, and I recommend trying it. The sauces were okay. Barbecue sauce they offered wasn't good. The honey mustard I ordered was a little runny, but it was good. It was okay quality. It did its job. So the Capilano Suspension Bridge is a popular destination for tourists, locals alike. I would say, yeah, I can see locals liking it. It's a good way to stretch your legs, see something new. But I can also see you can be somewhat discouraged because there's a lot of touristy people. Like I said, like if a cruise ship comes into Vancouver, you get most of the tourist people because the shuttle bus picks them up for free. That's one of the main spots for the shuttle bus to pick people up, and the shuttle bus is free. But offer a combination of natural beauty, thrilling experiences. Yeah, walking across that bridge could be thrilling. Educational opportunities. It does a good job of that. It provides a chance to immerse themselves in a breathtaking wilderness of the Pacific Northwest and learn about the region's ecological and culture heritage. I would say like it does everything good for like, it gives you experiences, give you the Pacific Northwest feel, the trees, everything. No predators, which is good besides me and the bear. But it was a fun experience. My pros of it is like the suspension bridge was a fun pro. Used some good pictures. The layout and everything was really clean. They did a good job of keeping everything clean, organized. I didn't find much of the stuff confusing. I'm trying to navigate the trails. I tried to do maps and big signs to say follow this way. My only con of it would be, I guess, like a big touristy people, which I think if even on a weekend it might be a little slower. I think there's still a lot to do and a lot to see that you can easily look at everything and go with the flow. I know the treetop was the busiest time, and it was kind of like a slow moving line throughout the thing. But we easily got on there and in line if we stepped off for a minute to keep on going. Now, I would say like if on a weekend, there might be a huge line to get to that treetop, and you might have to wait a little longer for that, and who knows. So my only con about this, if you live in the Pacific Northwest, like in Washington, close to where I live, you kind of generally see most of the things that you already see if you go to one of the parks here for free. There's a lot of parks here that are trails you can go on for free, or if you have a Discovery Pass, it's like, is it $10 or something like that, or you can get the year pass for $30, which is $15-20 less than the tickets for a day pass. So you can see the same experience for free in Washington, and probably I'm assuming in Canada too. You get the floral, the nature, the fungi, everything. This one kind of is more cleaner, and you do get more information from it, so that's nice. So that's kind of like my only con about it. So I would say if you're if you're not from here, if you want the Pacific Northwest experience, this is a good spot to check it out. I mean, kind of gives you all the things that you want to give or do. And also gives you a bunch of information, educates you on other things too. The only thing that stood out was the bridge and the cliff walk for me. And if you go by shuttle bus, if you're on the way, it does every 15 minutes. So like on the way back, we just missed a bus, so we had to wait for 15 minutes to get back on for a new one to be dropped off. So overall, it was a good experience. Would I go again? I don't know. I think if I go again, I might take other people and suggest it to them. But I was fine with it by itself. I had a good time the first time, but I may not go back. Just because reasons of I can have similar experiences at other areas that's a little cheaper. And here in the US too. So it's a price thing and a distance thing. The gift shop is great. A lot of variety of items, a lot of local items, which is nice. We got my girlfriend got a hoodie there. But a nice variety of stuff. Go there, pick something up. They offer ice cream there as well, which is nice. And what else? I'm trying to think what else may happen there. But yeah, I guess that's the bridge part. We got back from that, left at, I think 9, came back around 3. And then we ate, the restaurant we ate at is called Earl's Test Kitchen. I think it's Earl's Kitchen, and it's a kind of a chain in Vancouver. And the one we went to, which is on the corner of Hornby and Smith Street, is kind of their location where they test out fun dishes out to try out to present it to the other restaurants. So I recommend going there. It's kind of a higher end upscale food with a mix of like kind of a pub fun area, maybe some burgers, appetizers. But I got steak there, which was good. It was pretty busy. They do have a reservation. I would recommend using that so you can have a guaranteed time and spot. We got there maybe 10 minutes earlier than our reservation, and we got in right away. So good experience. Service staff was nice, very nice. I think we went there and they had a whole brand new menu of items they were testing out. So they were kind of perplexed with that, but I think they did a good job with it personally. So if you're a food lover and try some dishes out that the other restaurants don't have, I guess from Earl Kitchen, it's a good fun place to try it. And they have a nice variety of stuff to offer too. I'll try to get my picture of my steak I had, it was pretty good, steak. I like the sauce with it too. So, and that's kind of our part 2 of our Vancouver trip. Our part 3, we are going to do something a little different. We've done a lot of nature, landscape, adventures, do some little foods. This time we're doing an art exhibit in Vancouver, and the little preview for this one is kind of interesting because they have 2 floors. They have 3 floors, but the second floor was is being remodeled for something. But the first and top floor, third floor, they have very customized personal exhibits. So I'm fun to share that to you. And the top floor one has a fun, interesting concept to it. A lot of history with it. So I'm going to do my research and try to present that to you, to my listeners. But yeah, I'm really excited for it. And I think, what else did we do? I think that was the main one we did. So, and then talk about maybe our anniversary dinner we had, which was fun at our hotel. But yeah, it's good. So far, Vancouver's been a great time. Love the city. Definitely go back to stay there. That's even after my 3-part series. So thanks for listening. Again, you can listen to the audio version on Spotify or Apple Podcast. But if you want to see the YouTube version, which is kind of the preferred version, because you can see the videos and pictures of the trip, and you also see a special highlight reel at the end that you don't get in the Spotify version. But again, if you've been to Vancouver, or if you want to, let me know what kind of suggestions that you want to see or recommendations that we haven't gone to yet. You kind of, if you heard this, you kind of know most of the places. The next episode's about the Vancouver art exhibits. So if you have anything beyond that to recommend to check out, let us know. I'd love to go back and do more, feature more of the town and explore more. So thanks for listening, and I hope everyone have a pretty great, fun, safe Memorial Weekend, and get to celebrate the start of summer. Or if you're in the southern hemisphere, you get to celebrate the start of winter. So sorry about that. But not sorry. We've done our winter and cold weather here. So, but anyways, travelers, thanks again for listening. And I bid you farewell.